This car rolled in because the customer had some issues with the brakes after one of their relatives had helped them refurbish some brake lines. And this customer complained about a loud knock whenever they go to pass another car on the highway. The owner of this Lincoln MKX came in because they had a steering issue after they had done some tweaking of the tie rod ends to get a better connection with the road when driving. Customer states, car has started to knock more recently, need urgent oil change. And this car came in with quite the transmission leak after the customer had tried using the transmission as a jacking point to do some work on the subframe. Customer states, what do you mean there's rust underneath? I've kept my car in a heated garage since new. This Chevy Silverado 1500 HD rolled in because the customer said it accelerated like an older gentleman trying to cross the street with a walker on a Sunday afternoon. Turned out to be a pretty crooked tailpipe. The owner of this car had replaced the parking brake shoes by himself, but had apparently gotten the wrong size, which caused it to get stuck. And if you ever wondered how some of the cars on here ever get to the shop in the first place, here's how. This car came in needing a new engine after one of the bearings had spun. This Chrysler minivan came in because the owner said that it had started to vibrate a lot at higher speeds. Upon inspection, the mechanic discovered that someone had fixed the rear axle in a pretty interesting way. Customer states, did an oil change at a quick lube shop because it was cheaper, but now I have an engine knock. And this car was in for some new seats after it had apparently been sitting in a goat barn for a few months, when a couple of goats had gotten into the car and snacked on the interior. And this car apparently makes its very own vanilla milkshake. Yummy. And the owner of this car just wanted a new set of tires. Customer states, I thought I put diesel in it, but must have been rocket fuel or something, because truck just kept going faster and faster until I heard this loud pop. This customer's SUV was in because it wouldn't move forwards or backwards anymore, but the customer stated that regular maintenance has been performed yearly. And this customer had replaced his own head gasket, but had to come in because he now had quite the blow-by and the engine ran pretty hot. And this car had taken some swimming lessons. This car came in because the owner thought it was time to get some new winter tires. And the owner of this car came in because of a terrible engine knock after their stepfather, who's apparently great with cars, had done an oil change for them the day before. This car came in on a tow truck after the customer claimed to have hit a giant Snickers bar while on his way to pick up his kids from school. I guess you're really not you when you're hungry after all. And this customer came in saying, every time I press the brakes, it feels mushy. Can you check it out? This car came in because the transmission had all but given up after the customer had another shop do some work on the washer fluid tank for them about a year ago. Turns out that the other shop had connected the washer fluid tank hose to a transmission vent, and every time they washed off their windshield, washer fluid was pushed everywhere but on the windshield. And this customer came in with starting issues after they had installed a new battery that they got from Temu. This customer's Mercedes 264 engine was in because it had quite the misfire and ran rough at all speeds. This is a known issue on these engines, and it often requires a full cylinder head replacement. And this car makes its very own blue Kool-Aid popsicles. This customer's vehicle was in because it had started to lean heavily to one side after the customer hit a speed bump doing 50 miles per hour. And yep, these people that don't believe in tire wear and tear are out there, driving among us. The owner of this Lincoln came in after he had tried installing a new fuel pump by himself, but had just caused a mess and had to come in to get some proper help. This customer came in saying, "I don't usually come into repair shops because my mechanic friend does all my work, but I just came in to ask what you think might be the cause for all this brake squeaking that I've been getting recently." And when your oil changes start looking like they're sponsored by Starbucks, best believe you're overdue for maintenance. This car came in for a safety inspection, and thank God for that, but the customer ended up telling the mechanic to go F himself and that he'd take it to another shop instead. Customer states, "Car jerks a lot and almost stalls whenever I try to start in the middle of a hill." And this car came in for an oil change, but the mechanic noticed that it needed some new engine mounts too, but the customer apparently just said, "Listen buddy, don't try and screw me over, okay? Just give me the goddamn oil change so I can get out of here." Customer came in saying that he hears a weird noise when the car is idling, but couldn't quite pinpoint where it was coming from. The owner of this Kia came in because they needed an engine replacement after the car had started to burn a lot of oil in the past few weeks. The customer had also apparently gotten a great deal for a new engine off some Chinese website, but this is what they actually ended up getting. The owner of this truck was on his way to pick up his wife from Zumba class when one of the front wheels just drove right past him on the highway. Turned out that the customer had another shop install ball joints in fairly new condition about 7 days prior. Nice. This Ford van was just in for an oil change when the mechanic noticed that it actually was quite a piece of art. When asked about it, the customer said that he's done all the work on it himself, together with his cousin, and that he's also learned everything he knows from his uncle, Big Bob Towhead. The owner of this Cadillac came in complaining about a clatter sound whenever they put the AC on high, and apparently thought they needed a new blower motor. And this customer was in with their Honda because it was really difficult to get into gear, and this is what the clutch looked like. The owner of this car had tried lowering it by themselves, but had to come in because one of the springs had failed pretty badly after they hit a minor pothole. Customer states, "Turning radius on my new Mercedes is too tight." And this customer had fixed an exhaust leak together with a friend, but had to come in again because it was still leaking. The owner of this truck came in saying that their turbo has started to whine a bit more than normal after a road trip to the countryside. And this customer complained about his cab not really getting warm in the winter. This customer came in saying, "Every time I press the gas, the whole car rattles real bad." This customer rolled in saying that the interior lights had just stopped working all of a sudden. Customer states, "Car keeps squirting at random people on the sidewalk. Please advise." Customer states, "Side mirror is like my wife's mood. You never know where it's going." The owner of this car had their cousin, who's a hobby electrician, help them install a light bar on their truck, but now needs a new battery. Customer states, "Starting issues. Recently had it in for a new valve cover gasket at another shop." Yup, as good as new. This truck came in because the owner had tried converting it from 4-wheel drive to 2-wheel drive, but now had a steering wheel vibration at all speeds and really worn out tires. This 2004 GMC Sierra rolled in after the customer said that it's a little hard to stop at higher speeds. Customer states, "Car doesn't want to start, has tried everything under the sun." Can you help this customer figure out what the problem might be? This car came in after the owner said that it had started to knock and the gas mileage was apparently pretty bad too. This BMW X3 came in after the owner apparently crashed into and then drove over a guardrail while on his way to pick up his girlfriend at the airport. This customer had apparently done a little DIY quick fix to make sure their running boards were safe and solid to step on. And this car rolled in after the owner had tried replacing the ball joints on it by himself. And this Kenworth T800 semi-truck came in for some new bearings. The owner of this Ford SUV came in saying that they have a strange intermittent scraping sound after they had towed a trailer full of corn feed back to their farm. Must have been one hell of a jam-packed trailer of corn feed. And this customer came in complaining about a vibration when driving on the highway. And the owner of this car came in with one of the most unique oil leaks the mechanics had ever seen. This customer came in saying that their car has started to run really rough, despite changing oil according to the interval stated in the car manual. The owner of this car had fixed a broken exhaust, all by themselves, using some silicone, but had to come in because the fix wasn't fixing. Now what the... You know what? Good job. Customer states, flux capacitor and time circuit GPS system needs maintenance. Not quite sure if I want to know what that is. The owner of this car came in saying that his wife likes to hit things fast, including curbs. Customer states, there's a loud noise when going over bumps. And this car seems to have just the right amount of fiber in its diet. Customer states, don't ask. My kids just don't like seatbelts, okay? This 2014 Chevy Impala came in on a tow truck because it wouldn't start after the customer had it in for some electrical work at a different shop just 7 days ago. And this car came in because the lady that owns it had started hearing a rattling noise when driving on the highway after her husband had done some repairs on it the week before. This car rolled in for an inspection after the owner had installed some Lambo doors and a home-built carbon fiber body kit. And this truck came in after the customer said that it needed a new haircut. Customer states, borrowed the car to a friend who needed to tow something up a steep hill. We're not friends anymore. The owner of this truck had some issues with the rear differential, so he just decided to disconnect it in his very own creative way. And this customer rolled in with their Pontiac saying the steering wheel sits a bit too low. The owner of this car came in because they had a terrible clunking sound and said that it feels like driving a hovercraft after they had done some frame repair at another shop a few months ago. And this guy had borrowed his mechanic friend's garage to do some work on his custom Jeep, but apparently forgot to mention that he's never heard of a thing called gravity before. The owner of this car had started getting a clunk when going over bumps, so he just fixed it himself using some footballs. And this customer had somehow managed to puncture their tire in 4 different places. And these ventilated rotors were a bit too ventilated. Customer rolled in saying that another shop helped them install a homemade sport exhaust system, but now it sounds hella loud. Very beautiful, very nice. Customer came in very surprised, saying that his ABS lights suddenly came on, even though he recently renovated his brakes. I guess the definition of recently varies from person to person. And the owner of this car said, "What do you mean I need new rotors? I just got them replaced at another shop like a year ago and paid $2,500 for it." And in case you ever wonder what the heck Venom oil really is, here you go. The owner of this van didn't have all the parts to fix his leaking exhaust, so he just worked with what he had. The owner of this truck had just renovated his engine together with his best friend, but hadn't installed one of the connecting rods properly, which led to some major engine damage. How to increase the value of your old car, the easy way. This is what happens when you pour stuff into the engine that should actually go into your coolant system. Customer states, "I think I have an oil leak. Can you check it out?" Thankfully for the customer, it was just some condensation from the AC unit. The owner of this Volvo 740 came in saying that it's gotten harder and harder to shift lately and that he wanted it looked at. Customer came in saying that they've been feeling a vibration in their steering wheel ever since they raced a guy for a parking spot 2 weeks ago. This car came in after the owner suddenly lost all power on the highway 5 days after their friend had tuned the engine for them in his mom's garage. And this radiator desperately wanted to be a tea kettle. As good as new! This customer came in complaining about always having to top up the washer fluid after they had installed some fender flares that they apparently bought off Temu. The owner of this car said that he had eaten something bad and suddenly had to drop the kids off at the pool real bad, so he pulled into a parking spot with a pretty high curb, going a bit too fast. Luckily, he made it on time, but now needed a new set of front rims. And this guy was doing an oil change on his Subaru, but as he was rolling over to get out, he accidentally pressed the remote starter on the car keys, and this is what happened. Luckily, he shut it off on time before any serious damage had been done to the engine. Customer states, "Truck's mirrors do more use to other drivers than to me. Please advise." This car came in because it kept overheating after the customer's friend had installed a used intercooler that supposedly was like new, and this is what the mechanic found. And this customer came in saying that his Mercedes has literally started limping. This customer was in because he said he had a clunking noise when turning, and this is what the steering rack looked like. Customer states, "Did my own oil change and didn't want to overfill the engine with oil. Can you make sure everything looks alright?" And the owner of this car came in saying that his dashboard has started to reminisce on its past life as disco lights. And this customer had been towing a trailer full of sandbags when they suddenly heard a bop from the back and had to come in on a tow truck. This customer came in complaining about a clunking sound after he had been driving through a small village on an unmarked road. This car came in because it ran rough after the customer had been in 10 days prior to get a new timing belt installed, but had declined getting new tensioners because they were apparently in pretty okay condition. This mechanic was doing a quick inspection of this car when he discovered that the customer was driving around on some homemade slicks. This heavy-duty pickup rolled in after the customer said they heard a loud metallic noise and lost all power while they were doing 100 miles an hour on the freeway. Turns out that the customer had been to the shop a few weeks prior because of an issue with the all-wheel drive, but had decided to wait for their next paycheck before fixing it. And this Subaru came in with a blown-up engine after the owner had been to his first street race the night before. This van rolled in for a safety inspection, and this is what the mechanics found. This old Plymouth Fury had just been in at a different shop for some brake work, but had to come in because of a brake fluid leak. This customer came in for an alignment when the mechanic discovered it needed a bit more work than only that. Customer declined all repairs and said he'll take it to another shop that actually listens. And this customer had a slight clunk when going over speed bumps. Customer states, "My car's got the crabs, please advise." This car came in with a bit of a leak. And this guy had installed some new ball joints, all by himself, using a YouTube tutorial. This vehicle came in because the customer kept finding holes everywhere in the interior and couldn't figure out what was causing it. Turns out that the vehicle had a second owner with sharp teeth and a long tail, living in the trunk. And the owner of this car came in and said that their steering wheel has started to wobble more than usual and wanted the mechanic to have a look. And this customer came in with quite the oil leak and apparently signed the repair order as Duct Tape Jesus. The owner of this car had apparently fixed a tire leak, all by himself using some good old silver tape. The owner of this car rolled in because they had a loud squeaking sound when braking after their uncle had installed some new brake pads for them for cheap. The mechanic noticed that they had gotten the wrong brake pads, but instead of getting new ones, they just improvised a bit. The owner of this minivan complained about the rear door being hard to close, saying, "I tried slamming it shut a few times, but it just got worse." Peekaboo! This car came in after the customer's father had done some electrical work on it, but now the electric seats move in the wrong direction. This customer was told they needed a new wheel bearing very soon, but had declined all repairs, and this is what happened as they were driving away from the shop. The owner of this car apparently said that he does all his own car repairs and had just changed a couple of gaskets and wanted to know if it was done right. Tell me you're a dog owner, without telling me you're a dog owner. Beep beep, all aboard! This customer came in with their SUV because they had some starting issues after they parked it on a riverbank during low tide while they were out hiking for a few days. Once they came back from the hiking trip, they found half the car to be submerged in water. Customer states, "Ever since I changed the oil last month, the car has almost overheated a couple of times. Can you check it out and make sure it's nothing serious?" This customer was in because they had a rattling sound coming from underneath the car. And here's a great tip if you want your car to last longer and pretty much not have any rust on it whatsoever. Just oil it all up and you're good to go. And this car came in after the owner had done some work on their brake calipers but had tightened them with tie wraps instead of the proper caliper bolts. Customer states, "Nephew installed a new battery and fuse box, but car has weird glitches ever since." Uh-oh. And this truck came in because it wouldn't start anymore after the owner had installed some new extra lights by himself. And the owner of this car had installed sport air suspension by himself, but still complained about clunking sounds when driving. Customer states, "Was recently in at another shop, but now have a clunking sound when going over speed bumps. When the pre-purchase inspection works as it should. And if your battery ever does this, run away and get a new one." And this customer had another shop do a tire rotation for them, but it went a bit so and so. This car came in after the owner had hit a smaller log on the highway. And this customer came in saying they had too much blinker fluid. This car was in because the rear brakes were stuck after the customer had it sit on their driveway for a few years with the parking brake engaged. And this customer came in because their car had started sounding strange after they let their son borrow it for a few weeks while they were gone on vacation. This Kia owner rolled in because they had let their friend help them install a tow hitch, but they had apparently saved on bolts and only used one bolt instead of two to secure the hitch mount. Customer states, "My friend helped me install a new steering rack, but I didn't know it had built-in vibration." This customer came in saying that their turbo sounds like and wanted it checked out. Customer states, "My Tesla's been acting weird lately. Do you think I need like a software update or something?" This Ford SUV came in because the customer complained about lots of road noise when driving on the highway. This tractor's hydraulic system had failed and started to leak oil into the engine, and this is how that looked like. This car came in because the owner said he had a clunk and dunk sound when driving after he had installed sportier suspension together with his friends a few months ago. Yummy. This customer came in because they've started hearing a knocking sound, and it apparently also gets worse every time they go to top off the washer fluid. And this is how you know that you need new brake pads. And even though we're sometimes stuck in the garage all day, God still finds a way to shine His light on us. And this customer came in saying, "Took the car out for some Indian food, but I think it was too spicy for it." And the owner of this car is actually a giant rodent disguised as a human being. And this customer hadn't changed their tires in 22 years. Nice. The owner of this Kia came in because it wouldn't start, and this is what the mechanic found. This customer came in saying, "Cab smells like a nursing home. Please advise." And this vehicle came in because it just wouldn't start after the customer had done an oil change by himself, but had put way too much oil in it. Customer came in really bummed out saying, "Do you know how to treat cars with OCD? Because mine won't stop cleaning itself, no matter if it's on or off." This Dodge Charger was in for some differential work after the customer had done a few donuts at the local mall parking lot. This Honda came in with an exhaust leak after the customer had done a pretty creative repair job by himself. And this Volkswagen came in because the owner had started hearing a strange sound when driving after he had replaced the transmission together with his father. This car came in after the owner said, I think my car has an identity crisis or something, because she has started sounding more like a printer than a car." Customerstates asked for a wheel alignment and also to remove the unidentified object hanging from his tow hitch. What it's supposed to look like, what it actually looks like. This pickup truck rolled in because the owner had trouble starting it, even after he tried tapping the battery connectors gently. Customer states, "Car sounds louder than normal, please advise." The owner of this BMW M4 had only bought it 6 months ago, but said that it already feels unstable and wobbly when driving at higher speeds, for some unknown reason. Ah, Mr. Sparkly, we meet again. And this car came in after the customer had hit a speed bump going a bit too fast. Customer states, I know somebody who can fix it for less. What's a Toyota Tundra's favorite meal? Fried rice, because it's always revving to work. This customer had done some wiring work by himself, but it didn't go so well. Customer states, every time I floor it, my hood gets a bulge. Extra dark chocolate drip, anyone? This truck rolled in for an oil change, but the mechanic found that it needed a bit more work than just that. This customer came in saying that he hit what looked like a giant pack of Oreos while on his way to work. This Volvo diesel engine came in because it wouldn't start after it and the owner had gone for a little swim. Customer states, had a flat but fixed it himself, wants to know roughly how many more miles he could drive before needing to fix it again. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like and subscribe for more. Thank you for watching, and until next time.